Hey, go getters. How are you doing today? It's Cami. I'm here. Um, I just wanted to ask you a question. What is your secret sauce? What is the thing that makes you stand out from everyone else in a crowd? I want to know. Tell me in the comments. Tell me what you think your secret sauce is. And we're going to talk about this just a little bit because what I found is that people don't really realize that the thing that they think that everybody should know, it should be common sense, is often your superpower. It's the thing that you bring to the market that no one else has. And I want to know what yours is. So tell me in the comments. So the thing you think you is common sense. So usually what happens is you think that something that you do or have is like, everybody should know how to do that. But the bottom line is that they probably don't. And I found this time and time again because I feel the same way and I'll leave people behind. So, in my courses and then when I teach and when I help my clients, sometimes I'll explain something and they'll be like, I never thought of it that way. Or, can you explain that more? Because I don't know what you mean by that. And so you need to start thinking about what those things are for you. Because I think we sometimes undersell ourselves in the sense that we think that, there's so many other people doing it. For example, I do social media, and the truth is that there are 1,000 people that do social media marketing in the market. There are just 1,000. So what makes me special over all of those people? Well, it's something that I bring to that that's different than anyone else. And that's really what I want to talk about today. It's really about systemizing your process. I remember a couple of years ago, I got into a contract with another agency and she came to me and she said, "What is your process for doing social media?" And I thought, wow, I don't know. I mean, we sit down with the client, we start to ask them the questions about what their brand what their brand is, and we kind of work around that. And I really prided myself in that we did everything customizable, like we customized every single interaction with a client and so that we were giving customized solutions, and I thought that was great. I thought that was amazing, but the problem was that it confused people. And so I started to think about what was our process, and I do have one, and you probably do too, a process by which you approach a specific problem or help a specific client. So this episode is for you if you are thinking, well, I don't know if what I have is like how to make it stand out in the market. And I will tell you that the best way is to put together a system that then you can communicate what you do for your clients. And clients need to see in advance what you're going to bring to the table, what you're going to do for them. They need to understand that they you can get them from the point A that they're at right now, whatever that is, to the point B that they're looking at that they want to get to. How do you bridge that divide? That is your process. And it took me a while to figure it out for myself too. Like what is my process? What should I name it? How should I do that? And that's sort of how I came up with the framework that we actually teach in Smart Social Secrets and also which we use with all of our clients. So I would love to know if you have a process and if you went through a similar kind of an evolution, because I think it's common that we would do that. So let me see. Is anybody here yet? I want to see if anybody's here. Oh, so make sure you let me know you're here. Put a little hello in the comments so I know you're here. Um, so we can talk to each other because I love having this conversation with you. But it is a conversation, so it would be cool if you let me know you're here. And even if you're watching in replay, that'd be great too, because I'd love to hear your processes. So one of the things that I figured out is that I do like processes. I like to have them in my business, but I just wasn't communicating them to my clients. I just wasn't telling my clients how my process worked. And so what I found is that once I started telling people how the process worked, it was very intriguing to them, and it brought them in. And I've always been this way. I remember when I got my first job, my one part of my job was to answer the I worked for the Manufactured Housing Institute, and I had to answer all the client calls from our members, and they would call and ask for photographs of the houses. So we had really beautiful photographs of manufactured homes that had been lovely put together. I mean, really beautiful houses. And they would use those for their publications, for their brochures, those kinds of things. And my job as the communication specialist was to go to the back of the office, and they kept all of the slides. They were like large media slides and slides that we would then lend out to our members. I would FedEx them to the members. I'd find one that would work for their needs. I'd FedEx it to them, and then they would send it back afterwards. Well, this became a huge problem over time because they would lose the slides. I would always be like asking for them. I spent like inordinate amounts of time in the back room, like going through all these slides, and I'd done a lot of things to like make that better, like putting them in alphabetical order, putting them by like different places in the country, because you couldn't exactly send a house with a palm tree to somebody that's in Arizona, and so on. And so we really put that together as best as we could. But I thought, why am I going back and sending this every time? Why don't we just take these slides and scan them? Now, of course, remember this was the 90s, so early days. And I thought we can scan them and put them on a CD and sell them. When they call, we'll say, "Hey, we have this CD for sale. It has all these houses in it you can choose from, and they're in high definition." At that time, as high definition as you could get, and my boss says, "Oh, how much did it cost to do that?" So I went and got a quote, and I got that all done. We ended up putting those all onto little CDs, and that CD would sell for $60. And so when people would call, we would now sell them the CD. I didn't have to go in the back room anymore. I didn't have to find photos for them. I didn't have to put them in a FedEx package. I didn't have to like make sure that they came back. It was a system that we came up with that then brought revenue in to the association. So those are the kinds of systems I'm talking about. Things that shorten the results that people get. They got what they needed. In fact, they got more because they got tons of photos to choose from depending on their project. And then I got something too, which was like I didn't have to go to that back room and like dig things out. So there's some efficiencies that can be brought to bear. For Smart Social Secrets, I've been using a system for years and years called Goalpost, which is setting your goals, choosing your people, objectives, strategies, and tactics. It's a really well known public relations process that kind of brings things from just being like, "Hey, we're going to try a few things and see how it sticks," to a process. And then at the end, I do a measurement. So for years, I've been using that. It was what I learned during my accreditation in public relations. And I realized that I was adding a few things to it, doing my own stuff. And pretty soon, I sat down and I started to think of how does that fit together? How can I show this as a process? So that's when I came up with the Smart Social Secrets. And there's four. And the first one is really around clarity. It's around clarifying your business and clarifying your goals and your objectives so that you know what you're aiming for and that you know who you're really aiming for. And then the second part was around connecting. So for me, it was all about community. How can we grow community around brands? And that kind of became my special sauce. So we talk about special sauce. That's really mine. Is really that idea of community building over just plain old marketing or other ways of doing things. It was all about community for me and building communities around brands. And so because of that, I've got that. I've got that connect, and then beyond that, we have create, which is creating the content that you can put together for that. And then finally, the calibrate, which is calibrating your content and making and starting to measure that and making sure you make those small adjustments that you need to make in order to move forward. So that's my secret sauce. That's sort of the birth of my process, if you will. I would love to hear from you what your process is. I'm going to jump off here now because I have to go on to a next call. But I definitely want to hear from you and hear what your special sauce is because it's so important that you define that. All right, then. I am so glad to see you this morning, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.